record it. All right, guys, we are back for another demo. This time we'll be doing these ceramic cups, and the intent of this demo is to go a deep dive into just kind of drawing and sketching in Rhino. So instead of using primitive objects like a cone and extruding it and cutting it, I like for you guys to take an approach of actually drawing this thing out and with curves and splines and then revolving it. So let's go get it. All right, so we got line. Well, actually, I'm going to go to polyline here so that way all the lines are connected. I'm going to start at 0, type 8 inches, shift, and then I think I'm going to go about 1.5 inches, shift, kind of freelance that little taper, and then I think it's going to taper down. And then I'll just shoot it over, enter, go to a line again and cross it. And I only did, I keep on escaping out of it. Like I'm thinking I'm using another software. So I only did that because it wasn't allowing me to snap to this line here, and I want to make sure that I get that perfect. So now I'm going to go to fillet to a 0 radius, and so that I can get this thing trimmed. So there we go. Something to be mindful of, because I drew this as a polyline and I drew this separately. They're not connected, so it's a good idea to learning how to join and explode things. So now that's a clean spline that I can revolve. But I am going to do more. No, shoot. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm going to explode them so that I can have this as an independent curve temporarily, because I want to be able to divide just this curve into 3 equal pieces. And I already have it at 3 segments, so I'm going to push enter. And what it does is that it doesn't really divide my curve per se, but it actually adds these little nodes on there, which is what I want, because I want to know how I should divide up my 3 cups. So I'm going to give it these reference line and then delete these nodes again because I don't need them. And then now we're going to start to draw the inside of these curves. So let's just go here, and we're going to go to fillet, and I'm going to take a 0.1 inch radius. That looks pretty good to me. Ooh, push enter again to go back to the command. So I say that looks pretty good. I'm going to see if I can use the same things here. I'm going to go to copy, go from there to the top of that other, and then there, so that all 3 cups have the same base. And then this line I actually want to divide up. I actually want to split them. So instead of using divide, I'm going to come here to split. So I want to select this line and this line to split, and then I want to use these lines to cut with. So now that's 3 individual lines, right? So you got 3 individual lines there and 3 individual lines there, perfectly subdivided. And at that point, I could actually draw a line here. Oops, so this line is too long, basically, right? And then I can just extend this line down. But we'll do that later. I don't think I'm going to need that line anyway. And then now let's look at like the tops of this thing and how this is going to kind of rest on this to create a shoulder. Do I really want to do all that? Yeah, I should. So I'm going to offset a line, 0.1 again. So I want to just see if that works. I'm going to make sure that the cap is none so that I just get a line there. And then let me draw a line from like roughly here, nearest, and I'm going to go perpendicular, and then let's just fill it that. And my radius, I want that to be 0 for now. Oh no, actually I can go 0.05, because if this is 0.01, 0.05 will be half, and I should be able to get a, nope, it didn't like it, so how should I do this? Oh, you know what? I'll just do, the reason was it just mathematically, all the math wise, 0.05 and 0.05 should have been perfect. It was probably overlapping somewhat, and so Rhino didn't want to do it. So I'm actually going to go, I mean, I could go to 0.04, but then I think I'm just going to do that. And I don't want to necessarily touch, but I think that'll be good. So again, I'm going to go to fillet, this time 0, because I already have a radius from here to there. Oh, enter, enter. So I have that. Now, technically, that's going to give me a sharp highlight. You know, if you want a tangency, you know, you got to get your math right, but I don't want to get that much of a deep dive into that one. So I have this. Oops. So I can technically make copies, but so let's make a copy of this. Actually, I'm gonna need some sort of a line here, so let's offset to this side, enter, offset to this side, take that, copy, take that point there, and kind of nudge it pretty close to there, and close to there, fill it. So be patient with me here, guys. We're gonna do a really deep dive here into sketching, so it will take some time to sketch it correctly. I'm pushing spacebar to repeat that last fillet command. So I'm pretty close there, so now let's give it a thickness here. In this case, I want to again offset the same. Let's go there, and then let's fillet this thing, 0.1. And then we're going to do a line, just kind of, maybe the base has to be a little bit thicker, who knows, like that's what we're going to design for. And then we're going to do another fillet here, 0.1. See what that brings us. So it just kind of comes and gives me a nice little radius there. So I could actually accept that. And since I want to kind of do the same thing here, I'm gonna see if I could copy this, but I'm gonna use this endpoint here because I know that's the same, I share the same endpoint there, and I was in theory share the same endpoint there because they were all the same pieces. So then I'm gonna fillet this, now back to a 0. Back to a 0, so I'm pretty close. All right. Give it another line here. So I have all of my kind of the 3 cups stacked up and kind of drawn properly, which is good. So then let me trim this. This is also still 0, which is good. This is what I needed. And that guy, fillet. get rid of that. So there you go, guys. So I have half of my cups perfectly stacked on top of each other, exact profile that I wanted, and now I can just revolve this thing. So I'm going to, well, we should actually combine all of these things. So I'm going to hold down Shift to select more, and then you want to Control J or join them so that this acts as one polyline. Do the same thing here. Kind of zoom in here, Shift, window selection, Shift, window selection, Control J or join. And I believe I'm going to give you a shortcut on that right now. Oops. And if you push the middle button, you'll get that, because join and explode you use so much throughout modeling in Rhino. Then we're going to go to revolve. We're going to select curves, all three of these curves to revolve. We're going to revolve it down the middle. And then enter for 0 to 360, enter. So now I have these three cups. So there you go, guys. And these cups are perfect in terms of like they nest right on top of each other, and then there's like a little radius in here. There goes my dog again. So let me just nest it back. So we're almost done. So I believe these were all in a single layer, the default layer. So let me just put in a material. I already have a material porcelain, but if you don't know how to do that, you want to go to new material, and in the Rhino folder you'll see a porcelain material. All right, so once I go to my render mode, you'll see the porcelain, and it actually looks really good. It looks like a ceramic cup. Well, it's not as glossy. Let me see if we can get a more glossy material here. We're going to go to new material, import from library, ceramic. That was it. Let me go to like a plastic. White. Maybe it'll be more glossy. Not really. Am I on render? Yeah. Yeah, it should be a little bit more. Oh, there it is, guys. It's because my view, the light wasn't really. So there you go. So it's a pretty glossy material there. And now we're gonna introduce you to kind of slowly giving you material lesson at the same time as modeling. There's these logo pieces here. There's many ways to do it. I'll put up a video on one of the YouTuber that had a really excellent tutorial. So, but in your case here, what you're going to do is you're going to select one of the ceramic cups, and then you're going to go to its properties, and you can add a decal to that cup. And then you're going to go to add. In your project folder, you should see this little logo. It was just a little JPEG snip that I got from online. Now, I like you to experiment with all these other types, but in this particular case, these types they're not ideal, so just stay with plain here. But at the same time, I'd like you guys to do some research on cylindrical. That's going to be really helpful. And then I'm going to say OK. The best way to apply decal is in the front view here. And then you're just going to draw a rectangle, because that logo is kind of a rectangle and it kind of understands this aspect ratio. And it's actually there, you just don't see it because you have to be in render mode, but you should see it in the perspective. So there it is. So you know, obviously, for me, I want you to experiment with kind of editing these things. So you want to select that. Here's the decal. It knows what kind of decal this cup has. You're going to go to show decal widget. And then when you do that, you're going to be able to see a little widget. If I can rotate it down here somewhere. I'm going to just highlight it this way. There it is. So that's the widget there. I can move it out to the front so I can kind of select it better in the future. So that's basically saying, hey, this is an image and I'm going to bust it all the way through. Now there is a little drawback which you'll see on the top here doing this technique, but for the most part you can hide it, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But I'll go to the front view here, and you want to select this widget and you want to hit 90 degrees. So that is straight vertical, and bring it slightly behind that line, and you're good to go. So if I turn this into render view, you'll see that that thing is right there. I think this is very cool. So there you go, guys. So nice ceramic with the bottom, and of course you'd have to add a decal to this element and also that element individually, and you would do the same thing. You come here, go to decal. You should already bring it back in for this element again, plain here. Go to the. This is a tricky part. You kind of need to do it at the same size. So in this case, I'm just going to eyeball it. And we're going to say show decal widget. So I can just highlight that. 90. Okay, the size is actually pretty good, pretty close. And this is the drawback here when we do the decal on this one, what you'll see. And it only is a drawback because we are using the planar. If we use cylindrical, it's a little bit more complex, but it will work better, but I didn't want to go through that in this demo. So you will just have to deal with the imperfection. Again, window it in so you can select, well, you got to say show widget. Good, and then window it in, it'll select that widget. And I think I'm gonna use that as a guide. Okay, so progressive got smaller, which probably makes sense. Anyway, so here's a drawback. Because on planar decal, it blows all the way through, so you can see that the decal also shows on the back face of that. So it's not really ideal, but I can actually just add a cylinder here and put a water and not make it see-through so you don't see it. Or frankly, oftentimes you're going to Photoshop it and go through post-production and get rid of it, or just render this thing like that, right? So there's many ways of getting around that, but trust me, this is a lot easier to do than trying to do a cylindrical one, and it is possible though. So please take a look at that other demo that I uploaded for you guys. Again, I hope you guys are having fun, and see you guys next time.